Today I'm going to talk about memories. In our life, there's always those pleasant moments that you can look back on. Remember the great summer vacation that you had last year? And when you think back on it, you see those images of those beautiful images that flashing in your mind. For example, I can still remember the image of the beautiful sandy white beach and the fireworks that I had at night. But do you know where these beautiful images are stored? Do you know where it's stored? It's right in here, in our brain. It's our memories. Some people say that memory is a diary that we carry about with us. But in a scientific way, we can say that memory is a file that we store inside our brain. Yes. And these files are stored and then processed in particular parts of our brain. For example, the hippocampus. It is a very important part of our brain that processes memory. I forgot to bring the picture of the hippocampus, but I'll do this. For example, I am a dead man, and you slice me like this, and then you will see my hippocampus at the middle of my brain, right behind my ear, at this place. And it looks like a C shape, like this, right behind my ear, when you slice me in half. Yes. The hippocampus is a very important part that processes our memory. And then after processing this memory, it gets stored away in the surface of our brain called the cerebral cortex, which is the part that we store our memory. So now we know about the factory that produces memory. But what happens inside this factory? After years of research, psychologists came up with this theory. This theory is called the information processing theory. And this is very important for the processing of our memory. Everything external of our body, we call them stimuluses, such as the things I see, the smell that I smell, the things that I hear. These stimuluses will get into our brain, and then our brain will turn it into a short-term memory. Memories that only last for minutes or only seconds. And through many times of rehearsal, many times of rehearsal, short-term memories turn into long-term memories. Memories that can last above 24 hours inside our brain. But if this stimulus comes into our brain and fails to undergo this rehearsal process, and then still staying as short-term memory, which lasts only for minutes or even seconds, then it will be forgotten very easily. So this is how our memory works. So now that we know about the factory, and then we know about what happens inside, and here comes the problem. The problem is, what if someday that this factory comes across a mechanical failure? What will happen? Sorry? Okay. Although memory is wonderful, we don't know that sometimes we tend to forget things. For example, I cannot always remember the name of the person that I met, or sometimes I might forget where the place that I forgot my shoes. You know, all these kind of problems might happen sometimes. And scientists say that it is typical for human beings to tend to forget more things as they grow older. And serious memory problems such as Alzheimer's disease, I guess most of you have heard of this disease before. This disease mostly occurs on older people. And Alzheimer's disease damages your memory because it disables your mind to process short-term memory into long-term memory, so that it damages your memory. But for all ages, including old people or young people, injury on the brain or the head might also cause memory loss. Injuries such as traumatic brain injury, what we call, like when you have in a car accident and you get bumped in the head, and then you might experience a disease called amnesia. It's something that you guys might also heard before, amnesia. And this kind of thing usually happens like when we are watching TV or movies. Like a person who gets bumped in a car accident and woke up, and he said, oh, I forgot my room. I forgot where I am. That is amnesia. Okay? So now, with amnesia, memory can somehow heal with time, but with Alzheimer's, memory is a permanent loss. So now scientists are still looking on medicines that can improve the damage that stops the memory loss. So we know that memory loss diseases of memory loss are somehow linked to older people. But what can we do for our memory if we're 18, not 88? We can train our memory. It is a good way to make our brain to remember things more clearly, such as using your brain. This is the most important part. Use your brain such as read more books or play more puzzles. By doing this, it will be able to train your brain and then help it exercise so that it can remember more things. And then you will be able to remember the great memories that you will have in your future. Back to Jamie.